It'll be funny. I think people will get a kick out of it. Oh, because I've already proved his point. We're already 5 seconds into the video, and I haven't even introduced us. This is OmniDog's Vault. Thank you for tuning in. I am OmniDog, the guy who's in the vault, and I am here with my co-partner, co-crime committer, the Minister of Comics. How's it going, Minister?
I'm doing great. This is a early Batter Days in the Bat Cave because I'm not going to be around tomorrow for Batter Days, so we're doing it on a Friday. And this is the most professional YouTube shows you'll ever see. Jess and I both make 6 figures off this channel, and so we spend like at least 20 hours a day working on this channel, and it shows, especially with this background. Look how fancy we look. We actually look like we're scholars.
Right. I have a ladder to get up. That's my library. I have a ladder to get up to the top shelf.
This background makes me look better than my master's degree does.
Yeah. Wow. Where is your master's degree? You should have that thing framed up and hung.
I have it in my office. It is hung up on the wall.
You're not in your office now?
My office at work.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant. My office at work.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where people need to see it.
Right.
And I just want to make sure that Mr. Awesome knows that I did not sell Kill or Be Killed. That was not my copy. He said...
Yeah, because you sold an extra copy of Wonder Woman by Gail Simone and Kill or Be Killed this past week, I think.
I put them up for sale. Nobody has wanted Wonder Woman yet. Mr. Awesome says, I was a little surprised you were selling Kill or Be Killed Deluxe already. I would have assumed you were going for the whole Brubaker Crime OHC collection. You can assume yes to that. I am. I was on Comic Hub ordering something for myself a couple of months ago, maybe. And I was just scrolling through the store's inventory, and Kill or Be Killed and Wonder Woman were already out of print. And I thought, well, I'll grab a copy of those. It's free shipping. I'll grab a copy of those and see if somebody in the group wants them. And
yeah, if you sold your only copy of Kill or Be Killed, you probably have to be taken off of Crime Corner.
I would willingly be pushed off the street.
I would ask for your resignation.
Crime Corner. Push me off into the street, onto traffic.
I would demand your resignation.
There would be no Crime Corner.
It would just be me and ETL doing it.
So no, I did not sell it. That, as a matter of fact, Beto picked that up. But Wonder Woman's still for sale if anybody wants it.
Well, speaking of Kill or Be Killed, I know in the foreseeable future we want to do a ranking of all of Ed Brubaker's crime books, and so that's going to be really high up there, I'm sure, on both of our lists. A little spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how high up will be on your list, but I'm sure it won't be towards the middle or the bottom, I would assume.
Kill or Be Killed?
Yeah.
You're assuming it'll be in the middle or the bottom?
No, I assumed it'd be towards the top, not the middle or the bottom. I know you really like it.
Okay, right. So. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be harder for me. I like all of them strongly for different reasons. They all resonate really. They just seem to hit a sweet spot for me of perfect illustration going with a really well thought out story. And so that's going to be a tricky one for me.
I almost don't want to do the S tier thing because they're all going to be an A or an S for me. So it's not going to be that exciting. It's more of like ranking which ones you like the most in order.
Yeah.
Like they're all great, but if I had to choose a ranking, here's what I would pick.
When did that S tier thing become a thing?
That's really popular on BookTube because I like sci-fi and other novels and like fantasy stuff, and BookTubers always do like a S tier type thing, like S, A, B, C, D tier for like their books and their rankings of stuff, and that just became popular. You know that thing you guys use on OmniBros, that S to D tier? That's just a popular format to rank books for some reason.
Okay, what's BookTube?
BookTube is pretty much like what you guys do, but in like the prose format.
PROSE.
Yeah, like a BookTuber would be a prose novel reviewer of some kind. You can have a fantasy channel, a sci-fi channel, a literature channel, but they call them BookTubers.
Okay, and what's a book? No, I'm
It's just something without pictures in it that's just words, Jeff. Things that you used to read until you didn't have any time because you're preoccupied with comics.
What is up, Jess? Jess, what is up? Jess is now a hot toy collector. He will have everything in a year. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's hold on a sec. I bought one hot toy so far, which I have not.
Well, you've pre-ordered several, though.
Hey, don't get ahead of the story, okay?
Sorry.
I'm trying to create a narrative here.
Maybe we're not as professional as we thought.
This is Spider-Man 2099, who I love that character, and I just thought it would be cool to have him because hot toys are very posable. They come with really cool fabric on them, and I will be featuring this prominently. I believe next week Tyler Blunt and I will be having a Action Figure Friday. So I did get this, and I also pre-ordered 3, one of which is not coming until 2022. So you can't say I'm out of control pre-ordering something 2 years from now. I can save $1 a day and save up for that. So I did pre-order 3 things. Yes, 2 are due next year, and the others due the year after.
I guess so. Tyler Blunt's not going to dip his toes into this, will he?
Hot toys?
Is that too rich for his blood?
Dude, he pre-ordered the PS5 and the new Xbox.
Oh gosh, that's like what, $1,000?
Yeah, so it's just a matter of priorities for him.
Speaking of the PS5, I'm going to hold off on the PS5 for a while, but I am like 40% through Miles Morales already. So that's been a really fun game so far.
Didn't it just come out? You're 40% through it?
Yeah, I stayed up late last night playing it.
Wow, I feel like an idiot. I still haven't played my Spider-Man on my PS4, and everybody says how great it is, and I just haven't done it.
And I kept seeing video comparisons of you have to get it on PS5. The graphics are so much better, and I'm like, I don't really care. The graphics look amazing on the PS4. Yeah. I'm not someone who needs to have the best of the best of the best when it comes to visuals and graphics. I have a 4K TV that we got somewhat cheaply. It's still really nice. I don't need a nice OLED TV that costs $2,000 and the nicest 4K player. I just want ones that are decent.
Yeah, I agree. And so I'm not going to get first of all, I've made the decision that from now on I am not going to be a 3 console guy like I've been my whole life. This is curating my life, so this has something to do with the video. I barely watch TV. All I do now is read and make reviews of the books, and I barely have time for games. So I'm cutting the cord. I'm going to sell my current Xbox, my Xbox One or whatever the latest is before this new one. That had a Blu-ray player in it, so I'm going to have to get a 4K Blu-ray player for the 2 seconds of TV I watch a year. So I'm going to curate. I have to make the decision. I don't have the time to do things on 3 videos. Those of you out there who do, lucky you. I'm not casting aspersions on you. I'm just saying those days are over for me. I cannot I'm not into it anymore. So I'm going to sell my Xbox One or Xbox X1, whatever, S1, whatever it is, and I'll have to get a Blu-ray player. But then I will be down to just the PS5 and the Switch. And I don't know how much. I got the Switch so I can play Animal Crossing with my daughter. So she's pretty much done with the game, and I still want to keep playing. So I'm going to keep playing by myself.
Well, I've always been like a one system kind of guy at a time. This is the first game I've bought all year. I haven't played any other video games this entire year. I went to GameStop to get the game, and they said, "Oh, do you want to re-up your pro member card?" And I said, "Dude, I have a kid now. I don't have enough time to re-up that and play video games that much. This is like my one video game of the year." So you kind of do have to pick and choose, kind of going off our topic of curating even your hobbies.
Yeah. If that guy said that to me, I'd say, dude, I got a wife now. I don't have time for that.
I'm buying hot toys now. I don't have time for this.
Yeah, my wife's around 24 hours a day. It's like having a kid.
Because I mean, I do have time to read after Sam goes to bed and before Kate goes to bed, but usually that's Kate and I wanting to spend time together before she goes to bed. So I have like 2 solid hours after she goes to bed to kind of do what I want to do. And you can't do everything. I think you and Riley were kind of talking about this last night on Omni Bros. Like, you kind of have to pick and choose. Because Riley said he's like 30 games behind and you're like 10 games behind.
Yeah.
And so right now, my main focus is reading novels or reading comics. That is my major focus. Right now, my focus for the next couple of days is the Spider-Man game until I beat it. But then I'll go back to comics and I'll go back to prose novels. And I'll try to throw a movie or a TV show in there. But my TV watching has gone way down as well. I haven't been keeping up with stuff nearly as much as I used to.
Let's see. Jess, when are you going to start the best of the 2020 shows? That's a good question, The Collector. It is practically the middle of November. I have been writing them down, and I think probably December 1st-ish I will do it. I'll have to look to see what in December is coming out and what I might actually read in December.
Will these be books that have to come out this year or just books that you read this year?
It's going to be books that I read this year.
Okay.
Because I didn't read all that much that came out this. I read a lot that came out this year, but I'm still picking away at my backlog, which is my whole room. So that's a good question. December 1st, I think. Here are okay, wait a sec. I'm just turns out I'm way behind on the chat is about an hour ahead. Let's see. I do, as a matter of fact. I believe this is the last week in November.
You are really far behind.
Yeah, what?
You're like at the very beginning.
Oh my gosh, I'm 7 minutes behind. Yeah, sorry guys. We the tangent part of the show got off on a tangent. That's coming out the last week in November, Lionheart.
That's one of those ones that just frustrates me. I'm happy for people who don't have it already, but it's just annoying. It's like, great. I'm not going to upgrade. I'm just going to get the trade of the extra supplemental material.
Yeah.
Adventures of the Super Sons, I believe that it is.
Yeah, I've got both of those, but I haven't read them yet.
Oh, is it 2 trades?
2 of them, yeah.
Okay, that's not worth upgrading to me. I do want to get them. I just don't want to upgrade. No, I will get those 2 trades though, because I do love that series.
Yeah, these 2. I don't want to upgrade either. I'm not going to do that.
I can't really think of many other examples when they've done that. When they've reprinted something and put extra stuff in. Can you think of any other examples? I'm sure there are. I just can't think of them right now.
Not in the comic book world. I can think of it every other minute in the recording world, music world, where they do that greatest hits and they go, oh, and here's where you can find the one version of this song with the other 30 that you've heard forever from Mariah Carey or something. Mitch Netzer being himself. Don't tell me what to do. I'll collect how I want. Okay, Mitch. Okay, I get it.
Well, that's like one thing, speaking of upgrading, is I wasn't planning on getting the Man Who Laughs Ed Brubaker Deluxe Edition because I have the trade, but then I learned it has the Sean Phillips Gotham Noir, and I'm like, should I get that? I'm probably gonna crumble because I really want to read that story. A Batman story with Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. That's really hard to pass up.
Yeah,
it's those kind of things that kills me. It's like, oh, really?
Ooh, Lionheart's PlayStation came in today. What game are you playing, Lionheart? I'd be interested in that.
I don't think there's that many games at launch right now. I know the Spider-Man game is one of them. I don't know what the other one is. And then Cyberpunk 2077 is supposed to come out this month, but they delayed it to next month. That game's been delayed a lot.
That's what I've heard.
I do want to play it. It looks really cool, but who knows when that will actually come out.
A 3-console guy your whole life. Biggie would have been jealous of you. At one point, I had 4 consoles. I had the Dreamcast, which is still my favorite console.
Blah.
I know.
That's my least favorite console of all time.
Taylor constantly makes fun of me, but gosh, I had fun on that console.
I did like Crazy Taxi. That wasn't.
I hated that game.
Not that was fun.
That game sucked.
I just hated the controller. It was so huge. You had that stupid memory card you'd put in.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know.
Oh, there were so many fun games.
Even my favorite system of all time, which is the N64, I will
Yeah.
admit that is one of the worst controllers of all time. The way it was
That-
arranged, because it had like the 3 prongs. And it's like I never held this one. It's like, why is it even there?
yeah.
But the
I
games
think
that were
it
on
was
it,
supposed to be with one hand or
it
something.
was just so weird. But the games that were on it are unbeatable. I
Yeah.
mean, like GoldenEye, which is still in my top 5. You have Diddy Kong Racing. There's just so many good games. I can keep going, keep listing them.
Let's see. Off topic. No, everything's on topic in the tangent part of the show.
We should rename Batterdays in the Batcave to the whatever we want to talk about today show. Because that's what it's become.
I have read everything but the final volume of Wicked and Divine. I really, really liked it, but haven't read the final volume. So I have to read that to see how it all wraps up. So I can only say that I've enjoyed everything up until the finale. Oh, okay. Here's some more TurboGrafx 16. I didn't play this. I didn't play that one.
I saw someone ask me up earlier, what are some novels that I like to read? I do love fantasy novels, but my favorite genre is unsurprisingly crime and mystery novels. I read my favorite series of all time this year, the Orphan X series. Jess, if you ever get back into novels, this is the series I would recommend. It's the best crime thriller novel series I've ever read in my entire life. I want it to be a TV show. It would be a fantastic TV show.
And it's a series of books?
Yeah, it's a series of 5 books right now. Basically, it's about a guy who was raised from childhood to be an assassin, and he eventually gets out of the life, but he wants to give back, and he wants to be actually a contributing member of society. So he actually gives out his phone number to people. It's called 1-800-NOWHERE, and he calls himself the Nowhere Man. And people will call him, and he'll be like, do you need help? And he'll help them no matter what they ask him to do. Like, these guys are after me. I need help. These people are trying to kill me. And he'll step in to stand on their behalf and take care of their problem for them.
Oh, it's not like, can you go to the grocery store?
No. But also at the same time, there's people from his past who are trying to get him and kill him and silence him. So it's kind of like it has a nice central through line that has a lot of cool cases and people he's protecting. And I think they're talking about making it a TV show now, and I'm really hoping that's going to be a TV show.
That sounds great.
It's kind of a cooler version of The Equalizer, if you remember that TV show from back in the day. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. Got to pick and choose our hobbies at this point. That is correct. Howdy, y'all. Excited to be hanging out with you all this fine Friday night. Thank you, Ben Uncles. It's good to see you. What's your town called? Omniville? Yeah, that's where I live. Omniville.
Your daughter's done a good job of decorating your house or whatever it is. Your comic book store.
Oh, in Animal Crossing?
Oh, is that what he's calling it? Oh, I thought you said Animal Crossing.
It's not called it. Oh, my town in Animal Crossing is Geekistan.
Geekistan.
Yes, and we just finished my house. Upstairs has a haunted library, and in the basement is a drive-in movie theater with cars. So that's really cool.
Doc Lecter's talking about Tony Hawk. I do want to play that new, not reboot, but they did like a re-graphic version of the Tony Hawk games that were really good back in the day. I used to love those games. I'm guessing that really wasn't your cup of tea back then, Jess, back in the early 2000s.
No, I did have a skateboard back in the 80s, but I'm not real big into cars or motorcycles or skateboards in games. I never really got into any kind of racing game or anything.
I'm laughing at Streakazoid. Most people, my life's in danger. Please help me. Jess, can you go to the grocery store for me? I'm out of root beer.
Well, you said people that needed help. Somebody could be on the mail paper.
That'd be so boring if that was actually what happened. Well, during the COVID era, maybe that would be the thing that you would need.
Yeah.
Go to the grocery store for me. Go to Target for me to get the new Thomas Wayne figure.
Hooniverse was right here. He said, wait a sec. He did say about what I had. Yeah, here we go. I did have the Magnavox Odyssey and the Atari 2600 at the same time. The Atari 2600 was a big leap up from the Odyssey because all the Odyssey did was play Pong, and which was, I mean, Pong was great.
You guys like freaking out when you were playing Pong the first time? Were you guys like blown away by it?
Yeah, it's 13.
It's just funny to think about.
Well, because we thought we were saving money because Pong was 25 cents a game, and now I'm like, we're playing Pong for free, and it cost my parents $100, and I'm like, we're never gonna make $100 worth of games in this thing, are we?
Just that little joystick you have.
All it was a pad with a dial.
Pad? Oh, I thought it was a little joystick.
As I recall, it was a pad with a dial, and you just went. Burp, burp,
Sometimes I wonder what Sam's gonna think about video games in 2020 whenever he's like my age.
Oh, when he's your age, they're gonna have a chip like right in here, and he's.
Well, the big thing is, I'm not a big fan of VR. I don't really want to do VR, but I know that's going to be the next big step in gaming. It already kind of is. But whenever they finally perfect that technology, that's going to be the way that people play games. And I don't know if I really want to be a part of that, to be honest. I'm going to miss the controller and just sitting in front of the TV.
Yeah.
To play.
Joe Chip wants to know what novels you are reading. He loves reading novels. What are you reading right now?
Well, that was a question I kind of answered earlier.
Oh, okay.
Orphan X series is one I read recently. I'm reading a book by, did you ever hear the crime writer John Connolly back in the day?
Yeah.
The Charlie Parker series. I'm reading the newest novel in that series. There's a couple fantasy books I want to read. I really like epic fantasy, but the hard part is it's called epic fantasy, which means they're like 1,000 pages long.
Yeah.
And I just don't have that space right now. I got 500 pages into the most recent Brandon Sanderson, well, the most recent one. The third Brandon Sanderson Stormlight Archive book. It's 1,200 pages. I got 500 pages in. I'm like, I need to take a break. This is like, I've already read a whole novel. I'm only halfway to go.
Wow.
I need to take a break. I don't have the time to read those books as much as I used to.
Ben, okay. Speaking of best 2020, highly suggest you check out Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen by Fraction and Lieber. Funniest book I've read since Next Wave. That is a big compliment.
I just got Next Wave the other day.
I just got Superman's Pal. It was in the big stack that once we get to the Curate section of this show, I will show you. But good. That's a great recommendation because I really want to read it. Good. I'll put that on my list for this week.
I think that we should do a review show of that in Lois Lane by Greg Rucka. That's coming out in a couple weeks, I think. So maybe like sometime in January or February, we'll review that.
Okay.
Because I've heard they're both really good.
Well, I mean, if this is good, we know Rucka's Lois Lane is good, so they both got to be good.
I don't know if you have to read the main Bendis series to understand it. If you guys could speak to that in the comments. I know that there's like a Leviathan issue that's in all the trades, I think, of all these different series. So if someone could let us know if you have to read Superman by Bendis, because both of us haven't read it yet.
To enjoy Lois Lane?
Or Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Because I know I've heard Bendis talk about how they do what's called the Metropolis City Council. Well, this is before COVID. That Greg Rucka and Matt Fraction would come over to his house, and they every like Friday night, and they'd have a fire and talk about all the Superman books they were doing. So I'm not sure if like they're actually tied together, or if they're just trying to make sure that they're not doing anything that's antagonistic to each other's books. I'm not 100% sure.
They live in the same town?
Yeah, they all live in Portland. That's kind of like the comic book center for a lot of
all the writers want to live.
Yeah, that's where a lot of writers want to live.
Wouldn't that be so cool to just say, yeah, I'm going over to Greg Rucka's house. I'm ready to jam on some notes. And
we were in Greg's Rucka house virtually.
We were.
We saw his basement.
Studio. Yeah, we saw a lot of albums. That was cool.
We were close. We were close enough.
Jess, you legend. Dreamcast rules. Thank you, Raz.
And Ben Uncles just gave us some solid information. Definitely don't need to read Superman to enjoy Jimmy Olsen. There was one small goofy scene.
Behind.
There was one small goofy scene in the Leviathan special, and it's included in the trade. So it sounds like you could read. It sounds like you could probably read both without them.
Okay. Jimmy Olsen is the best Superman book on the market right now.
I heard Greg Rucka say originally he wasn't supposed to do a Lois Lane maxi series. It was supposed to be a Metropolis. It was supposed to be like a newspaper comic that was like a newspaper version of Gotham Central, where you'd follow different reporters around the Daily Planet going about these really dangerous stories. But then DC wanted him to focus it more on Lois Lane. But that would have been really cool, though, like a reporter version of Gotham Central.
Oh, here's Paul Baker. This is interesting. They're both good, but Jimmy Olsen is definitely the better of the two. It's pure Silver Age absurdity with tight modern humor and storytelling. Wow. You should write blurbs for books. That's a great blurb right there.
I think you'll enjoy it because you were a big fan of my pal Jimmy Olsen, like the original series, right?
Yeah, when he used to turn into a turtle and a last and all these other things. It was crazy.
Did they address that at all in whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow? Like all the crazy stuff that happened to Jimmy Olsen?
He turned into one of his identities before they killed him off, but they didn't explain it. Atlanta Lang turned into Insect Queen, and I think Jimmy turned into one of his old characters, like Elastalad, or it wasn't Turtle Boy, but it was something symptomatic, or it was something that helped define who he was in the 60s, and that's before they killed him off.
I am excited to pick up the reprint of the deluxe edition of that because I never read whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. But I have seen the cartoon adaptation of For the Man Who Has Everything, and that was fantastic. So I'm excited to read the actual issue itself.
Yeah, it's so good.
And Paul Baker says that Jimmy Olsen, it goes back to being a turtle again at the beginning of the series with Matt Fraction.
Oh, it's so great.
Oh, Psycho Cleveland's here.
Oh,
He's Swiffer in those walls.
Olsen, good book. Just read now. Right on, Cycle. Right on, man. Good to see you.
Let us know how the Swiffering is going still.
Yeah. Wait, I saw a question I wanted to. No. Yes, I have several. Jess, if you watch the original Twilight Zone, the half-hour version and the hour version, I've watched them all a bunch of times. That's something that I don't buy DVDs at all of shows, but that is something that I could buy on DVD and be happy that I could at any moment pop in a Twilight Zone.
Do you have a favorite episode that you remember?
Yeah. Let me think of her name. She played Honey West in, like, she was a kind of a super spy, and she was hot. What was her name? Anne. Let's see. She played Honey West. Wait, let's see if Atari can tell me. I mean Atari.
Atari. Ask
Atari.
Atari.
Hey Atari, play a game.
I'm gonna beat her.
Hey Siri. Oh, Ann West.
Anne Francis.
Anne Francis. Damn it.
I beat Siri.
You didn't beat me.
I beat Atari too.
You beat the Atari. Yeah, never mind Siri. Fuck off.
Psycho Cleveland says, walls so clean, very good, smooth, yum. Blind's good too.
Uh-oh, he's talking in some kind of code.
Talking like a Teletubby.
Anne Francis was this hot. She had the hair that, was blonde and curvy like that. She played Honey West in like 1966 as a female spy that, could kick ass. She was the hottest thing. She was hotter than Julie Newmar, which is a compliment at the time in the mid 60s. She, in the Twilight Zone, it has to do with a department store, and she is sort of lost and wandering the department store, but enjoying things. And it turns out she ends up back in like the mannequin department, and they're like, your time is done. It's time for another of us to enjoy. And it turns out she's been a mannequin this whole time, and they get like 1 hour of life as a human. They have to go back to being mannequins. And she's like, no.
Do you ever watch any of the Black Mirror episodes on Netflix? Have you ever seen it?
I tried, and I don't think I was in the mood for the first one. Where
you should never watch the first ever episode first.
What's that?
Did you watch the first episode first?
I did.
That should not have been the first episode, because that scares a lot of people off because it's so weird.
It scared me off.
It's one of those things where something like really gross happens and you're like, I don't want to watch this. But I'm not saying it's a fantastic series. They have fantastic episodes that are great, but it's not always consistent. But there are some really, really good ones. And there's some really bad ones too.
All right, I'll give it another shot. That first episode put me off of it for 5 years.
I always tell people, don't watch that first episode first.
Yeah, I can see where that was a mistake. I do want to see it.
I did hate their Choose Your Own Adventure movie they put on Netflix.
I heard about that.
It was dumb.
Oh, there's a play. There's a Great Bob's Burger episode that's a play on the mannequin premise, and it's wonderful. That sounds great. Wow, that's really a callback if they do something on the mannequin episode.
I've never seen Bob's Burgers before.
Dr. Wolf Tickets is disagreeing with me. No one was or is hotter than Julie Newmar. This is a fact. I can't get into an argument with you about Julie Newmar. I have a feeling I would just lose. So to me, Anne Francis, well, now I'm thinking about Julie Newmar. Yeah, she was smoking in Batman. I'm still going to go with Anne Francis, but Dr. Wolf Tickets, you're probably right.
I think one of the most attractive older movie stars of old school movie days was Grace Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite movies is Rear Window. And
yeah.
She's so beautiful in that movie.
She's incredible.
Do you know who is a really bad leading lady? I was watching a lot of Alfred Hitchcock movies lately, and I watched North by Northwest, and I forget who the actress is in that. Man, she was dull. I did not like that actress.
I don't remember her in it as much as it was Cary Grant running away from.
I remember liking that movie better as a younger person. But I was really disappointed in it the second time. I know people say it's one of the best movies of all time. I think Cary Grant is a very boring actor. I just don't think he has that much range. I didn't enjoy it very much the second time around. Compared to Jimmy Stewart, who I think is the greatest Alfred Hitchcock actor.
Yeah.
Cary Grant really can't compare. Oh, Psycho Cleveland's talking about The Mandalorian today. That was a fantastic episode. It was great.
Haven't seen it, so please don't spoil it.
He was just saying that Bryce Dallas Howard, Ron Howard's daughter, directed it.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. She's an actress. I think you'd probably know who she is.
Yeah, I know. I've seen.
She directed an episode of the first season, and she directed the third episode of this season.
Eva Marie Saint, Psycho Cleveland is saying. He knows. He knows his everything. Alfred Hitchcock, everything.
Well, who's the girl? What's the girl's name again from West Side Story that you love?
Natalie Wood.
Right.
John Airwindows with Claudia Cardinale. She was tops too. Yeah.
I love Hip Hop Happens Spider-Man theory. What do you think about Jason Alexander as Uncle Ben across from Marissa Tomei? Remember when he's trying to date Marissa Tomei? Whenever he's dating he's engaged to Susan.
Oh yeah, he came so close to being with Marissa Tomei.
Right, and then he calls her after she dies, and she still rejects him. She hangs up on him. I just want to let you know that my fiance died.
Oh my gosh,
I love
a classic.
She's really attracted to short, stocky, bald men.
We've got Psycho Cleveland talking in caps. We've got the old Psycho Cleveland back.
He's been talking in caps since he arrived.
What's that?
He's been talking in caps since he arrived tonight.
Yeah, but he hasn't, he's been capless his most recent appearances. He's gone into full all mode. Sorry,
Cycle. I just find Cary Grant to be a very boring actor. You can have your own opinion about
that. Marcel says that's how he got to know Marissa Tomei from that Seinfeld. Let's see. Thank you, Tim Klein, for noticing my hoodie. I appreciate that, buddy. Okay, we'll talk about this actress and then we'll get to the topic. What is that actress's name that was in Firefly and she was in Gotham as James Gordon's girlfriend?
I forget what her name is, but I know who you're talking about. Let me look.
She was the high-class hooker in
Firefly. Morena Baccarin?
Oh my God! She's unbelievable looking. She is fantastic. Unbelievable.
Well, to segue, let's talk about the topic tonight.
You know what else is unbelievable, Minister of Comics? How I curated my collection, and I'm a happier person because of it. This is where we're off our tangent now, and we're into the topic of how I I didn't know she was in Homeland. I didn't watch that show.
The first 2 seasons of Homeland were great, and then it went downhill.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, she was really good in that.
So this week, and I think a little bit of last week, I did mine all this week, but I think Taylor, you started last week, where we had stacks of shame on our floors.
Last Monday I did that.
Yeah, we have a slideshow of before and after pictures. And what I had was stacks of books. It looked awful, first of all. You want I think even the sloppiest person wants their collection to look good. I think that anybody that's a hobbyist or a collector of anything has a little bit in them that takes pride in how their collection looks good. And I think some people go overboard into the borderline OCD thing, but it's the pride, it's your pride, joy, it's what you do, it's what you really love, it's your passion. And so I have all these books on the floor that I had been ordering since COVID struck, in this room, in that room. I'll take you outside and show you where all my album problems happened. I had tons of albums on the floor and it looked awful. And it took N-Man 40, who I don't think is in tonight.
He was here, but I'm not sure if he's here still.
Oh, he was? Oh, I did see him.
I did see him comment once or twice.
N-Man 40, I think maybe last Monday, said you can, I don't even know how it came up, but he said you can put 2 books deep on your Kallax. And my Kallax is right across here.
N-Man 40 is here.
Oh, he is. Okay, this is the N-Man 40 collection right here. So N-Man 40 said you can put 2 books in your collection. And I said, hey, N-Man 40, there you are. And so I said, it took me a little bit, but I said, that makes sense. I could double up on books on that Kallax. It would get rid of my stacks, but also it would make me go through my collection and decide, do I want this book? Do I want this book? Am I ever going to read this book? And if I've read this book, am I going to reread it? Do I want to keep it? So that's what it really became, was an sort of not only filing away books, but getting real with myself and saying, even though this book may have cost me X, at this point it may just be taking up space. It may have been back from 2016 when I was a trophy hunter, when I was going out and getting whales just because I could find them and putting them on my display case as a trophy. So I had to make.
I missed 2016, Jess. What a guy.
Did you know me back then?
No, but I watched your videos.
Oh.
Drinking a root beer float every episode, buying everything in the world.
That was me.
So happy.
But I have slides of what books are behind certain other books, and they're easy to, because I made in my notes app, I took pictures of what was behind other books on cubes 1 through 20. Or how many do I have? 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1 through 25. So I have books that I'll show you on the slides. I'll go through the process, and I'll go through why I think it's important for you to do this at some point, because I think it's good for a person to do it.
And you're not talking about just double stacking your KLAX. You're talking about being honest about what books you should keep in your collection.
Right. This actually will have little to do with the double stacking. Getting the books off the floor and into shelving was extremely important, but I think it's important for everybody to curate their collection pretty consistently, constantly. Not so that it's a job, because you want to enjoy your hobby, but just so you're on, like you said, like you're honest with yourself to say, does this book deserve a place in my library? And if it doesn't, what should you do with it? Donate it, sell it. If it's a bad book, throw it away. You know, what should you do with it?
I think that one of the greatest bits of advice is to not fall into FOMO and not to just blindly jump on the hype train. I think you need to do your research to make sure there's a character that you like, creators that you enjoy, and it has the respect of people that you really respect. Like if Jess gives me a really solid recommendation, or if, you know, someone like Omar gives a really solid recommendation, I think sometimes I feel tempted to buy books, not because I want it, but because I think I need it because everybody else says I need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, I don't want to fall into that. No one knows what you like best other than you. You know what you like. And if you have close friends, they can speak into your taste as well. But don't just blindly jump on the hype train because you think you need to have a book because everybody's saying you need it. So you need to be careful about that. And that can be hard with shows like this. That can be hard with being on the Facebook group because it's constant us showing books that we like. And it's good to listen to recommendations, but you have to be careful and do your research.
And I'm susceptible to it. I'm not trying to pretend I'm any kind of saint. I'm susceptible to FOMO just as badly as anybody else. But I don't. I don't really want to be that way because before I buy a book, I want to make sure that I really want it, because like I've stopped buying Conan the Barbarian, Savage Sword, and Conan at volume 3 because because they're going to go for 25 volumes. But I know that volume 1, 2, and 3 are the volumes that I read as a kid and that I enjoyed. So you got to make a decision there at some point because there's 25 of them.
You made
happens. Happens to the best of us.
And I think this year in particular is really difficult for FOMO because books are selling out so quick. So sometimes you feel like you have to get a book because you won't have the luxury of deciding later because the decision will be made for you because it'll be out of print. So I can definitely understand why this year in particular, everyone's rushing to buy books, even if they're not sure they really want it or if they're actually going to enjoy it. So that's another reason why it's difficult in 2020.
Yeah, and like Lloyd says, everybody has different tastes. Now, Riley is somebody that knows my taste pretty well and has recommended a lot of good books to me. You've recommended some books to me too.
It almost requires some friendly knowledge of each other.
Yeah,
you need to really, like, we've known each other for a little over a year now. You've known Riley for like 4 years now, so it takes some time to really be on the pulse of your friend to see what they really like. Because you don't like everything that I like, I don't like everything that you like. A perfect example is last week we reviewed Men of Wrath, and you admitted that it's a good book. It's just not for you. Whereas I love that book. And so, as we get to know each other, I could realize, oh, this is going to be too dark for Jess. He's not going to like that. Or we read Joker Killer Smile. As soon as I finished it, I'm like, Jess is going to hate this book. I just knew you weren't going to like it. So the more I get to know you, the more I can speak into your taste. And that's why you have to be careful of listening to people's recommendations that you don't even know.
Right. Let's see what Jessica has to say. When I see the hype train and get the FOMO, I try and put that book in my library holds, or even ask my library to order it if it's not in stock. There are exceptions, but it helps. Kristen does that a lot. Kristen Robertson does a lot of library borrowing, and if it's a book that knocks her out, then she'll buy it. So she's never stuck with a book she doesn't like. I think she hooplas and libraries a lot ahead of time to make sure she wants that book.
And Jess and I are trying to use Hoopla more to curate our collections. We're trying to be careful of not just buying something because we feel like we have to review it. I think we're going to do this for Three Jokers by Jeff Johns. We're going to Hoopla it first to see if we, first of all, like it, and if we would even consider buying it.
That's another component in the curation aspect. Now DC has a thing like Marvel Unlimited, DC Universe, I think maybe it's called.
They're going to be changing the name, I think, because all of these shows are moving over to HBO Max.
Oh.
If someone could let us know in the chat, I forget what the new title is going to be. It's just going to be strictly comic reading app at this point. And Who Knew Verse Review is asking, what is Hoopla? A Hoopla is a digital library service where you can actually check out movies, TV shows, comics, and novels and audiobooks on an app on your phone. But your local library has to have a Hoopla account. And so like my library gives me 15 checkouts a month via Hoopla.
Whoa, it's 15?
It used to be 10, but whenever COVID hit, they put up to 15.
I'll have to check to see what mine is.
Like Jess's library didn't have one. You had to travel to a different library, I believe.
I had to go half an hour south to a different county.
To be honest, I think it's worth a half hour to an hour drive to get Hoopla.
Oh, yeah.
You save so much money.
You save a ton
so much money. I've read so many books on Hoopla that I hated, and I'm like, I'm so thankful I read this on Hoopla. I'm so glad I didn't waste my money on it.
Oh, yeah. It's very easy to operate, very intuitive. You just have to go to a county that has it, and it doesn't matter if you're it took a long time for me to do it because I wasn't convinced that since I wasn't living in that particular county that I could get the Hoopla card, but I showed up and they gave it to me. Here Jessica says it's called DC Infinite and it's excellent, huge assortment. That's good to know because I just subscribed, and I subscribed to it and Marvel Unlimited, and I've got Hoopla now. Because
Marvel Unlimited just changed it to comics within the past 3 months, I believe. No, they have a 3-month gap. It used to be 6 months.
Yeah.
Now it's a 3-month gap, which is pretty good. You're reading almost brand new comics at that point.
Right. What was I going to say? Hoopla does not have every publisher and not everything from every publisher, but they have an awful lot of good books immediately the day they come out.
They have a really good collection of DC, Image, and other smaller publishers. They don't have the best Marvel line, but again, there's Marvel Unlimited, which is only $10 a month. So they have a really good, they have a really great DC and Image collection. I'll say that.
Yeah, and Marvel just has promotions all the time, and I think I just got a new. Even if you were already a member, if you bought a year's worth, you could get it for $6.95 a month, and same with the DC Infinite. If you paid it all at once, you could get it for $6.95 a month.
And Marcelo Ramos is twisting my words. I didn't say I like Hoopla because I read awful books. I have read a lot of books I love on Hoopla, and I end up buying them and adding them to my collection. What I'm saying is I Always hate to read awful books, but I'm not as upset when I read them on Hoopla because I read it for free, as opposed to buying it and then trying to figure out how am I going to pawn this off on some poor schmuck and sell this to somebody.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant by that. I'm not like, yeah, that was a horrible book. Awesome.
Yeah, somebody earlier asked how Beautiful Darkness was going. They obviously knew that was a root beer book. I hated that book.
And Omar will defend that book to his dying day.
Oh, he loves that book. Ryan Blue Thunder, Hoopla was what I used to read Gideon Falls. That's the smartest thing to do, because you know that thing's coming out in oversized hardcover. And I foolishly have been buying the trades. Why am I doing that? I know it's going to come out in a format I'd rather have. And I don't know. That's part of this, I guess, changing your mindset too now, is having the patience to skip a really good book that's coming out in 3 or 4 trades, depending on who the author is and who the company is, because you know Jeff Lemire's going to get an oversized hardcover of this book, which everybody loves. So I would say that's a part of the curation process too.
And this is a tactic I've been using with The Old Guard by Greg Rucka. You know that's going to get a hardcover. Lazarus has one. Black Magic has one. I've read Old Guard on Hoopla, and I'm going to wait until that hardcover comes out eventually.
Well, yeah, Ryan Blue Thunder's doing that, and that's totally what I need to do. Especially anything Rick Remender. You know that's going to come out in a absolute sized edition. I am not going to buy the very last 7 to Eternity book, because I know it's going to get re-released in gigantic form.
Yeah, Hip Hop Happens is a good point. We're definitely going to get that hardcover of Old Guard now that movie is really popular, and they're probably going to make more movies.
Yeah. It's a library thing, so creators get money from libraries when their books get checked out. So whatever the agreement is on the library side, that's the same for Hoopla. I don't know.
I'm sure it's not a ton of money, but I can't speak to that. But I'm assuming it's not much, but it's at least something.
Yeah, they're not getting ripped off. Is that what we are trying to say?
It's not like you're pirating a comic off of the internet.
Let's see. Well, this is where I am with Dr. Wolf Ticket. So true about Gideon Falls, but I can't wait for the Omni. I can't wait for the oversized hardcover. That book is so great.
And that's when Hoopla comes in handy. You could at least get the story, and you can read it, and then just wait until you get the hardcover to actually add it to your collection.
Yeah.
So that's my current game plan with Image books. Unless it's like a one-off series or a series you know it's not going to get an OHC, because not all Image series get an OHC.
That's also true.
Like an example would be like Cal by Kyle Higgins. That hasn't gotten an OHC, even though that's a great book. What else is there? Like God Country hasn't gotten an OHC from Donnie Cates at this point. I mean, there are some that don't get OHCs, even though a decent amount do.
Yeah.
Or Rumble. Like, I really like Rumble, but that hasn't gotten an OHC or several OHCs. And that's a really good series.
That is a good series.
I only have one more volume. I mean, that reminds me to buy that. There's one more volume, and then it's over. So I need to pick that up. I'm pretty sure there's one final volume that I need. I have the first 5.
Oh, I know. I have number 6. Is that the last one?
I'm pretty sure 6 is the final one.
It's been so long, I have to go back and read 4 and 5 to get back up. Yeah, Prophet needs an OHC. I have, and you know it's going to get it because I just bought all 5 or 6 trade paperbacks.
Yeah, Jess is like Captain America in the first Avenger, jumping on that grenade for all of us. He's such a good friend.
Yes. So the first step, I would say, this is my opinion, and that the first step, of course, is going through, just lightly looking at your collection every couple months. Is if there's a book that's been sitting there since 2010 and you really want to read it, you really should read it and decide whether you want to keep it. I know there's, and I'm saying that because I do this all the time. with books because they've been sitting around a lot. But you need to look at a book and decide. I did this earlier this summer, and then I did it just again this past week, where I went through my whole collection and I said, if I hadn't read it, am I going to read this? That was the first question. And there were some books I looked at and I said, I'm just not going to read this. I am not interested in this subject anymore.
I think the example you use is Alpha Flight. Like, nothing against Alpha Flight. You just knew you weren't going to read it.
I'm sure Alpha Flight is a perfectly good book. And if you grew up with it, it's probably great. But I didn't grow up with it. And Canadian X-Men that I don't know, yeah, exactly. Nothing against it, but I'm not gonna read Alpha Flight.
You got rid of Conan. Are there any other series or books that you got rid of that maybe people would be like, oh wow, we got rid of that you just weren't gonna read?
Yeah, I looked at Conan and just thought it's not my taste really anymore. I did keep the first volumes from the Marvel years, but those are ones that I was familiar with and that I liked. And current Conan just didn't do it for me. And I think if you need to look at your taste and say, is this comic book doing it for me? Is Guardians of the Galaxy solo series from the 80s and 70s, is that really your thing? Is the Bendis Guardians of the Galaxy really your thing? If you have it and you look at it, if you look at it and you say, yeah, I still am interested in it, that's great. I think you should keep it.
Yeah, we're not trying to tell you which books to get rid of. We're trying to give you the parameters for how to decide which books to get rid of.
Exactly. Because it could be you like a book that nobody else cares about, and it means something to you, though, and that's why you're keeping it. I think nobody knows your taste better than you, and nobody's coming to your house to look at your shelf and judge you. I don't know that. If there's a judging comics YouTube channel, I don't know about it. Actually, that might be kind of fun to go to people's houses and judge them.
That'd be we should get a Netflix show, Jess, and go around and curate people's collections for them and help them make a really cool library.
What are you, an idiot? What are you doing with that book? Get out of here.
That would be, oh, dude, imagine you, me, and Tilar with the comic book reality show. Just imagine that.
I'm already getting my words twisted. I did not say that. I'm just using that as an example. Guardians of the Galaxy. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, so stop it. Okay, let's see. Here's Hooniverse. Back to the FOMO issue. That's a good tip. I bought Planet Hulk Comedy simply because whatever said about it, and I hated it. Now, see, that's two different tastes. That's my favorite Hulk book ever, but not everybody's going to agree with that. But it's going to be hard to get somebody to dissent on that when that's such a beloved book. But yeah, you didn't like it, and we're not here to judge you on that. It's almost impossible sometimes to judge whether or not you're going to like a book.
Yes, yeah, sometimes you can be surprised. Other times, your general taste. You can make educated guesses as to what you're going to like. So, like if an Ed Brubaker book's coming out, I'm going to buy it, no matter what it is. It could be about like My Little Pony, and I'll probably buy it because I'm sure he'll make it really cool. So what I'm trying to say is I think after you've been in this game for a while, you realize what creators you really trust and you really like for the most part. And they can miss, but more often than not, if you connect with them, you're going to like what they put out.
Oh, we have our first participant in our TV show. Let's see. Lloyd had a really good point, and this will apply to me someday. I would further that by saying if I ever have to move, would this book be worth all the effort I'm going to put into moving it to a new place? These things get heavy. That is a good point. You get
Jess, can you imagine moving your collection?
no.
That sounds like you're gonna be like an official moving company to come and
No,
just to
I'll
move
be
your
quite
comics.
honest. I want to die before I move.
But hey, your wife's starting to come around to staying there longer, so you might be able to die in your basement.
Yeah, these things are heavy. You know, you got a whole Kallax full of Marvel Omnis. That's going to be heavy to move. So that's a good point. So I mean, I'll show you my slides, and Taylor will tell you his story. But I'm just so that your collection doesn't grow out of control, and just so you keep what you like. It's about your collection is a reflection of you. It's what you like, what makes you happy. So if you go through it in a couple months and say, I'm not going to read this, or I read this and it was okay, but I don't think I'm going to reread it. Why should that book take up valuable space in your collection? If you don't think you're going to reread it, if you read it once and you didn't dig it, you can donate it, sell it on eBay, give it to a friend to enjoy, introduce them into comics.
Sell it on the Facebook group if you're a part of the Facebook group.
Sure. There's lots of ways to get rid of books that, you know, you can put some dosh in your hands. And this is for a separate show, but it not only made me go through my books, it made me go through my action figures, because as you can see, let me make sure I'm pointing.
I don't think you have enough figures, Jess.
As you can see on the Spider-Man shelf here, that thing used to have 10 Spider-Man figures. But since it's got a level of books behind it now, there's not enough room to put that many. So I just have 2 Spider-Man figures. And I've got, out of my 25 Kallax cubes, 15 of them are multi-level. And so it meant I had to go through and really go through what action figures I really, really cared for. And that's a separate hobby. So I don't want to bog you guys down.
You and Tyler could talk about that on Action Figure Friday sometime.
Yeah, that's something for me to talk about. But it made me go through those too and say, do I really need the Superior Foes of Spider-Man? As much as I loved that book.
You got rid of that?
I didn't get rid of them. They're in the to be determined pile. The book?
The book? You get rid of the book?
Oh. No, I'm talking about the action figures.
I was about to harshly judge you. I know how much you love that book. I was like,
I know, I love that book.
I was like, you're keeping the Guardians in the 80s, but not Superior Foes of Spider-Man. I'm like, what the heck's going on here?
No, I'm
the figures. Okay, got it. The
curating the Superior Foes action figures. No, I love that book, but I'm just wondering, do I really need those action figures when I've got so many other cool ones? So it was a double curating thing.
And Hayden, Jess doesn't do a chronological order of his books. That's just, we're all different in how we organize our books. I don't do mine in chronological order either.
Where is that?
It's like 3 comments ago.
Just having those Spidey books out of chronological order is freaking me out. Oh, because I have McFarlane and Michelini first. They're sort of, I mean, I like 1, 2, 3, 4, but I mean,
yeah.
Up there also is Spider-Man Mike Morales. Mike
Morales.
Mike Morales. He's the Earth 212 white and Hispanic Spider-Man. I have Spider-Man Miles Morales up there, and
he's black and Hispanic.
And Spider-Man Tangled Web. Where am I supposed to put Spider-Man Tangled Web? Where am I supposed to put Untold Tales of Spider-Man? I don't know. So Deadpool's all in Deadpool order. I mean, I'll show you, but all my X-Men stuff is in total order because my friend from Germany, Patrick Kinderwater, was nice enough to have me send him photos, and he reordered it for me.
I have an order that makes sense to me. I have shelves that are dedicated to certain publishers, which you'll see in a few minutes, and I have a certain order that I like. Chronological, that's fine. I like to arrange by type of book, like absolute, omnis, hardcovers, trades. I think that's what looks the best to me personally. And as long as your shelves are arranged in an orderly format, pick whatever way you want to shelve them. If it's chronological, that's great. If it's by color, that's weird, but go ahead. Streakazoid says, I need to hunt down that Mike Morales Omni. It sounds rare. Mike Morales.
Mike Morales. Yeah, that's where his
debut.
His debut. Yeah, I have his debut issue, the Mike Morales Spider-Man.
That should be your version of Raw Shark. Mike Morales.
Untold Tales goes after ASM1. I don't have the room for it up there. I'd have to move Mike Morales, which actually I have Mike Morales, the Ultimate Spider-Man. He should really be down there together. So maybe I'll make a switch. Because I have 2 Mike Morales books.
Everyone in the chat's acting like Statler and Waldorf from Muppets right now, just sitting up in the Pants Gallery commenting on your collection. Why isn't this here? Why is that there? You crazy old man.
I didn't say Omar. No, Omar didn't organize it. Patrick Kindevater did. Patrick is an amazing X-Man fan. He is just not able to contribute to the page. He's not a student anymore in Germany. He's got a real job now, and so he doesn't have much time, but he knows his X-Men.
And speaking of X-Men, this really speaks to a really important issue of, are you a completist or are you not a completist? And I know Omar is a completist and Riley's a completist when it comes to X-Men, and that's fine. You just can't be a completist for every series and for every character. And so I think you really need to be selective of what characters you need to have everything of. And if it's the X-Men, you're going to be tracking down a lot of books. That's a lot of books. I'm a very cursory X-Men fan because it takes a lot to get into them, like hardcore. To get everything, that's a ton. So I think to curate your collection, you need to be careful of what you're a completist about.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But hey, again, all this is under the asterisk of it's a free country, do what you want. This is just our advice to help you out and try to make sure you have a collection that you love and enjoy.
Exactly. It's to help you. What?
Michael Eamon has some great comments tonight. Am I a completist? No. Am I a complete idiot? Yes.
So yeah, we want to make sure that it helps to just sort of get your comic book collection down to if it's unruly. I mean, if you already have 2 or 3 shelves that you're perfectly happy with, you might not need to do anything. My collection needed help. My collection.
And some of you are just starting out, and we're trying to give you tips to properly have a collection that you'll enjoy and not have it get like an overwhelming project that ends up being stressful or being a financial burden. Because I remember you doing that video with Lewis McGregor, well, multiple videos with Lewis, and saying you need to be careful not spending yourself out of the game. And if you're just starting out, we've also known those people on the group who go insane when they first jump into the hobby and they buy everything. Just slow down, just pick some characters, pick some creators you really want to follow. Just don't buy everything at once. So we're trying to give you some helpful tips to make sure you can stay in the game longer, because I don't want anybody to have to get to the point where they have to sell a bunch of books because they need to make money.
And I've seen it in my 5 years on that Facebook group. I've seen it at least 5 times with 5 different people where they are showing off monster haul after monster haul, and 3 years later they're having to sell their books.
And life happens. I mean, that can happen to any of us, regardless of how much you're spending. We're not trying to judge anybody, but we're trying to help you as much as we can to not get to that point.
Yeah. Mostly buy what you like and not get FOMO'd. Buy what you like.
Right. And I remember even Lewis saying, like, don't buy books just for status. Like, don't just like take a, get a huge haul to show it off on the group and say, like, look at this huge haul that I have. It's like, that's only gonna last for like 5-10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. And Lewis is really good about purging his stuff.
Oh yeah, he's purged like most of his books, I think.
Yeah.
Well, Jess, do you want to show off your slides?
Yeah. But I want to make sure. Well, Mr. Awesome, oh, okay. We're all still talking about that one cube that I showed about Amazing Spider-Man.
Let's see what the Peanut Gallery has to say about your slides.
Okay, yeah. Let me go to
Get ready for the most professional slideshow you've ever seen. So this is what we call the stack of shame.
Right. This was one of my stacks. And you can see there's a mixture of older books. I had just picked up a Nightwing issue. Ignition City is sticking out there from Warren Ellis. So that's and Joker Killer Smile is right there. That is a perfect under Nightwing. That's a perfect example of a book I should have never bought, and I should have hooplet it and been done with it. And now I got to either sell it or give it away. And I'm probably going to stick it into somebody's shipment that buys books from me and just say, here's a present.
And this is the before picture of Jess's stacks because they're not there anymore.
Right. There's the other stack. That was my House of Secrets, House of Mystery, Legion of 5 years later, and my Judge Dredd stack. And there in the sort of annex part, you can see there's two shelves there. It's in the dark. I need to, I should have had the lights on, but you can see there's two big stacks there. So those are all books that didn't have a home, couldn't fit them on a shelf.
There's one of your perfect cubby hiding holes.
Yeah, this was actually never discovered. If my wife had come in the room and seen that or that, it would not have been good.
She must never really come down there then, because that's a pretty big stack.
Not this part. This part doesn't really interest her.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
If you need to hide a dead body, you know where to hide it.
Yeah, Hooniverse. Jeff Lemire is one of my favorite writers. It was just one of those books that I don't know. It just didn't do it for me.
You liked the art. It was the story that you didn't like.
Yeah, and you read it and you knew exactly why I wasn't going to like it. It's just one of those things. I don't judge anybody for it. You like it and I didn't. That's the way it goes.
If you want to hear more of an in-depth review, we did a review of that 2 weeks ago. So if you want to hear more of our thoughts, you can go back to that video from 2 weeks ago. We reviewed that and Curse of the White Knight and White Knight by Sean Gordon Murphy.
Yeah. I was bummed. I really wanted to like it, but you can't bat 1,000%. You're going to have some misses here and there. And so this is cube number 1. Wait, no, this is not cube number 1. Let me see how I have them. I'll just call them cubes. Because I think this might be cube. I just grabbed random pictures of the cubes. You'll see what section I have. This is the back. This is where everything in the back went. I'm going to read these books, but just not right now. I know I'm interested in Alack Sinner and all the Alien books. I'm just not going to get to them in the next 6 months. And so that's the back, and what went in front. Oh, okay.
Nice.
Was these books, and Ms. Marvel, Morbius, Punisher, She-Hulk. Ms. Marvel, because I haven't read those 3 oversized hardcovers, and I still need to read She-Hulk and Punisher I'm going to always reread, and I want to read Morbius.
Guys, drinking game. If there's a book in shrink wrap, take a shot. Everyone's gonna be wasted at the end of this show.
Let's see. She-Hulk. Wait, how many of the Ms. Marvels have?
And this really speaks to how everyone has different tastes. Jay Nunez says he likes Jeff Lemire, but the only thing he doesn't like is Descender. That's my favorite Jeff Lemire book.
Oh gosh,
that,
I love Descender.
That shows you how we all have differing tastes and opinions. And so you never
know. So there's that. Here's another cube. Now, Punisher Back to the War. That's kind of a collection of his early stories and doesn't make one story in itself. But I still wanted it because it was Punisher. And then the rest of these books, I think I've read and wanted to keep, but just didn't feel like I was going to be reading them again real soon.
We just reviewed Whiteout several months ago. So
yeah,
I can see why you put that one back there.
Yeah. So books that I'm going to keep that I've read for the long term, but not right away. And that was that shelf. I can always reread Punisher. I still have to read The Shield, and I love Doctor Strange, so I could read those books again and again.
Looks like the Sorcerer Supreme is like standing behind Doctor Strange, like Jack on Titanic. King of the world.
That it originally was that his ghost or his astral self was getting knocked out of him, I don't have room there to do it, so I may have to set up a display where Iron Fist is knocking his spirit out of him.
It looks like Chubbs and Happy Gilmore helping Happy putt, like getting behind him and getting helping him putt.
Yeah, I need to fix that.
Where's Punisher by Garth Ennis?
That I kept that in oversized hardcover form.
Oh, right. Okay. Got it.
That actually won't show up because I didn't double on that one.
I assumed you had the Omnis, but yeah, those are just as good.
Yeah. These are all good books that I plan to read soon, but just not right away. I know Torpedo, it took me forever to find that in hardcover. Michael Emmons says he's blackout drunk playing the shrink wrap game.
And Hayden McGee says Taylor's trying to kill us with alcohol poisoning. The chat's on fire tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I like how you're putting all of the Omnis in front because those just look aesthetically better than a bunch of random trades and hardcovers together. They just all look really nice and neat on a shelf together. Right.
Aesthetically, exactly. That's what I wanted to do. And so, yeah, these are books that I'm gonna read eventually, but next 6 months, no. And in front of those, I love the Ultimates, Venom, Wolverine, Weapon X, and Mark Millar Wolverine. I've read a couple times.
Well, I have to reread that. That's one of my favorite Omnis that I have. I know Mark Millar is not a very popular. He is very popular. I know a lot of people love to hate on him, but that Omni is filled with such awesome stories.
Jay Nunez says World of Edina is amazing. Okay. Well, that helps. Maybe I'll yank it out early. I kept a record of where everything is, so I would be happy to pull that out and read it. And right, Mr. Awesome, I don't know how Sirens by Perez is yet. So this shelf stayed that way. And Giant Size X-Men is just a collection of like a few stories, and then it has that god-awful retcon.
Deadly Genesis.
Oh,
there's your awkward. This is your awkward cube of landscape books.
This is my awkward cube. This is where I have a bunch of books that are hard to read format in the
Grand Abyss Hotel, I think.
What's that?
I think I see Grand Abyss Hotel.
Yeah.
And then there's Barrier, then there's Private Eye. Private Eye is is a favorite book of mine that I'll never buy because I hate the way it's collected. I can't. I don't know how I'd put it in my collection.
It really is one of the harder books to read because it's so thick.
It's one of my favorite Brian K. Vaughan books, but I'll never buy it because I don't want to read it like that.
Yeah, it's hard to read unless you got some kind of big thing spread out on your lap on a recliner or something. I don't know.
It's great to read on Pandal Syndicate. It looks great on my iPad.
Yeah. So these are my awkward books. And I've read a lot of them. Actually, I've read all of them except for the Jack Kirby books. So, I need to read Button Man still. So there's that. Wait, what are those other ones? A couple of image books. Okay. And in front of that, Uncanny X-Men 1 with space for 2 other X-Men books, and I found room for Storm and Bishop because they were a couple.
It looks like they're standing in front of the water cooler at work talking about the latest episode of Game of Thrones.
I think that was my scenario. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. You really pulled it off.
Yeah. Thank you. I need to get a little water cooler to put there.
That would just top it off really nicely.
Thank you. Jack of Fables, I'll get to, but that was more of a completist buy.
Isn't that your least favorite Fables?
Yeah.
Spinoff?
It's worth reading, but it's not. I'm not dropping everything when
it's
I
not like Ferris to you
and going right up to it.
You like Ferris the best.
Ferris is my favorite. Yeah.
Can you even fit more on this shelf? It looks like Shock is really pushing everything forward.
That's how big it is.
That's crazy.
Those animosity, those
Aftershock
books, not any one of them is the same size. That thing, I
think they're starting to have more uniformity. Like, remember how that first Animosity hardcover was like shorter than the newer one? I think they're starting to have a more uniform height to their hardcovers.
Yeah, well, this one, the width is about 4 inches wider than anything else. So yeah, Sunstone, I've already read it. And I kind of just didn't want that book.
That's a good book to hide from. That's a good book to hide from your wife in the back.
Yeah, if she came in and said, "So, what are some of these books? Should I look at this one and pick that?" Because that would happen. So these, and I read the Shock books already, and I have to say that does little annoys me in the way of publishing. Like, as long as I can get a book, I'm usually fine. But that Aftershock stuff really bugs me. How their hardcovers are in no way, shape, or form trying to be a uniform shape.
The 2 hardcovers I have are the same height, but I only have 2 of them. All I have is Baby Teeth and A Walk Through Hell.
Okay. Wait, there's a question here that I can't see just because I've moved my screen over. Jess, are you a completist when it comes to Swamp Thing? Asks Elvis. I sort of am. Except that I don't have the absolutes. I have pretty much everything else that has been put out.
Swamp Thing is a relatively easy character to be a completist on, compared to someone like Batman or X-Men. Like, that's a somewhat easier and more attainable. Like, even Daredevil, that's a lot of books, but compared to like X-Men or Batman or Superman, it's much more attainable.
Yeah. Yeah, I am, and I love Swamp Thing, so I am a completist. And Mr. Awesome is right. Cinderella is also a good Fables spinoff. It is really good. Let's see.
And then what did you put in front of this shelf? Nice.
I made it because Inferno is a big story for Magic. I got her, managed to make room for her action figure, and then I know is Shattershot in there? Yeah, that's not in the proper order, I don't think. I have to get that reordered, but I just stuck it in there so that I could take a picture. I know that's not in the right order. I know it goes somewhere else.
The peanut gallery's been pretty quiet lately about the order of your books, so I guess you're doing okay.
Yeah, they're not. They're all up my nose about it. And that might be the last one. No, here is. I have to admit, Siege is okay. Dark Avengers and the whole scroll thing, not one of my favorite Marvel time periods. I didn't like the Dark Avengers. I didn't like Dark anything really.
And they did a lot of stuff during that time period, like the Reign, like all that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of books in Marvel that are set. Like I really do. I know a lot of people like to hate on Bendis. I generally like Bendis. I'm thinking about getting rid of all my New Avengers and Mighty Avenger and Dark Avenger trades because I haven't picked up all of them. And I'm just like, it's going to be a lot to pick up all of those and the events that are tied into them. I just don't know if it's worth it. So that might be an example of books I'm going to get rid of soon.
Yeah, I would say next on the curating block is Dark Avengers, Siege Dark Avengers. I'm not going to get. I only have Infinity and Secret Wars there because I've already read them, and I'll pull them out again when I do a read through. And those are the three Marvel Masterworks I own: Dazzler, Champions, and Ghost Rider.
And Michael Eman's giving us a update on the drinking game. Too many shrink wrap books. Had to go to the liquor store to keep up. You're gonna have a rough morning tomorrow.
Okay, and this is what is in front, and I am aware that those two Omnis don't go there. And Original Sin and New Avengers have nothing to do with each other. I need to rearrange those books, but for slides purposes, I just put them there. So that's where they'll be for the next month or two until I figure out where they're going to go.
There's all the noir books, which we'll hopefully be reading sometime soon on Crime Corner.
Yeah, right there with Spider-Man Noir.
I like how it looks like he's hiding, waiting for someone to jump out of the shadows.
He's in the shadows.
I love Nicolas Cage and Into the Spider-Verse.
I do too. And
Universe, how did Original Sin not get the root beer bath treatment?
Hey, it has to, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but to me, it wasn't root beer worthy. It was just kind of a book that was just, it was okay. It wasn't, super bad. It's got to be a book that pisses me off that it made me read it, or it insults my intelligence, to get root beered. It just needs to be a book that makes me angry that the author thought so little of me to recreate something, or it's so dark that I don't like it. Yeah, I mean, with
Jess can sell me all of his dark books.
What's that?
Jess can sell me all of his dark books. I have a dark soul, apparently, after reading Men of Wrath.
You do have a darker soul than I do. Yeah, you definitely like darker things than I do. But with User, when I spontaneously dumped root beer on it with Kristen on the show, I was just getting angrier and angrier at the book and how it treated the underage girl, and that's how that one got root beered. But I'm going to try not to root beer books anymore because that shtick is over, and it just made me so angry. I just wanted to beat on that book.
You've gotten too much flack from the root beer thing. It's not worth it.
At first, it was funny, but I think it's had its time.
Well, the bigger your audience got, the more flack you got for it, I would say. Back whenever you had like 1,000 subscribers, people weren't saying as much. Now that you have so many, there's more of a chance.
Yeah. Inman, I had a couple of Cap Masterworks, but a friend sent me the Captain America Omni, the Jack Kirby Omni, that the Mad Bomb Omni that I had the Masterworks for. So I sold those. I think I sold them in the group.
And Jess, I think we have a record for Saturdays. We have 81 viewers right now.
Right on, man. Thank you to all viewers out there. If you could please give us a like a thumbs up. Feel free to leave a comment after this video and subscribe. But yeah, it helps us in the YouTube algorithm if you hit the like button. Whoa, went to 83.
And invite a friend to come and join you. We can get up to 100.
Yeah.
Shatter the record. Jake NO41 has a question for us. It's a noob question, so we want to make sure we prioritize that.
New
to the game. So when you store omnis vertically, I've heard the spines or pages can get damaged. Do you guys store them upright, or does something else need to be done to protect them? I think there is something that people do to protect against this. I don't do it personally, but do you know what I'm talking about, Jess?
Yeah, you take a piece of styrofoam and you cut it to the exact size of the width of the book, and you set the book and you put that right under the page block. You set it like right here. For an omni, you would cut out styrofoam that size and stick it there. And I would think you'd probably have to stick a similar piece here so that it would be even. You can do it with cardboard, but I haven't had that problem yet.
I think it'd be more of a concern for like huge, massive tomes, like Colossal Conan or Thor by
Thor by Simonson. Oh, buddy. Oh, I thought you froze.
Am I okay?
Yeah, I think you're saying Thor by Simonson.
Yeah, so I think it's really bigger books. That's when it's more of a concern. I've never had any issues with my omnis that I have on my shelves, at least that I've noticed.
Yeah. So actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if it was one of those really, really big books, I'd cut out a piece of styrofoam to support the whole page thing here and just set it on that.
I'm also not a big omni guy, so I don't have that many. But there are some people who have a ton, obviously. So maybe that could be something to consider. It is a lot of work, I'm sure, to get all that done.
Yeah.
You gotta like cut them and space them based on each book. We have suggestions for Crime Corner from Lars Gunderson. Torpedo, which I think we just showed that on one of your shelves. And then Hard books.
Where did Lars go? Oh, suggestions for Crime Corner. Torpedo, yeah, I just showed that. And Hard Looks by Andrew Vox. I've read Andrew Vox. He's dark.
Darker than Men of Wrath?
He deals with a lot of abused and missing children topics.
So it's like Law and Order SVU type of stuff.
Yeah, he's hard for me to read.
Is that a Euro comic or is that an American comic?
I think he's from New York.
Okay.
But he's also written a couple of graphic novels that I have upstairs in the upstairs library. He's very good, but he is dark, and so sometimes I can't read him because he's very realistic about how evil people really are.
And MM40 is asking you about some Marvel Masterworks. I'm guessing that's what MMW means.
Yeah. Okay, Jess, I think you should delve into some more MMWs. There's some good stories there that not too many people have read due to their disregard for MMWs. They seem to be hated here on YouTube. MM40, you hit a home run with your suggestion on my Kalax, so I'm open to suggestion from you.
I think a lot of people seem to like Epic collections more than Marvel Masterworks because they're more cost effective, it seems like. So aren't Marvel Masterworks pretty expensive?
They are, because they're extremely well produced. They're very nice books. And we get them from IST, so they're not that expensive. But if you have suggestions, man, send them to me, and I'm happy to try them out. I like the format, actually.
Jess wants to hire you as his personal advisor in all things. What should I eat for breakfast this morning? What time should I go to bed?
Well, you had one good idea. That's enough.
You can be like Kramer's caddy, where he asks me, where he gives him the opinion about having the braless wonder put on the bra, but she had to put on over her shirt so it didn't fit. You're close to the hole. Now put it in.
You own the Captain Britain Omni? Yes. If so, did you read it? Take a shot. Still in its shrink wrap.
We're really messing a lot of people up tonight.
Yeah, it is. My friend Patrick Kindervarter says it is fantastic. So that is a book that I want to read. I would keep that in front if it was a shelving situation. I definitely want to read that. Actually, I should read that before it gets reprinted because it's a whale, and all my whales have become common now to the common man.
And someone just asked a question. I can't pronounce their name, but they asked a question about IST and their book prices.
DLG?
That's the best way to put it, I guess.
Can I ask a silly question? Why do IST sell books so cheap? Because they have some kind of business formula that allows them to sell a huge amount of quantity for a small profit, which adds up to a large profit in the end.
There you go. Perfect answer. Well, Jess, do you want me to show off my slideshow?
Sure do, because I'm going to set it up. I'm going to go get something to drink. I'll be right back.
Can you make sure that everyone can see it? I don't want to be like showing off nothing.
Well, I don't want to miss it. Just talk to everybody for 1 second.
All right. Calm down. Let's see. Yeah, Michael, you're talking about the JLA Omnibus by Morrison. I can't buy that. That's just huge. I think it's 1,500 pages. I just don't buy Omnis that are bigger than 1,000 pages. That's just too much for me. And I don't know. I'm always worried about them holding together, but that's just my own personal opinion. We all have things that we like. We all have a preferred format, and my preferred format is not huge Omnis.
This is where we just lost that Sean guy, because that was totally not professional for me in the middle of the show to get something to drink.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. Can we all see this?
Just a sec. Yep.
All right. So I found a picture of my collection from 2016. So this is a somewhat newer to comics Taylor. I started collecting comics. I had some in high school, but I started really becoming a serious collector back in late 2014. So this is back in our apartment before we even had a house. So this is a long time ago. So this is the early stages of my collection. And here's my most recent stack of shame. It's not as bad as Jess's. I know there's some difference between me and Jess. His boyish good looks might fool you, but he is somewhat older than me. So he has a little more mileage in terms of books and a little more money in the bank account. But I still had a decent sized stack here. And this was slowly accumulating over the past 6 months. And it just looked really bad. It just looked really unprofessional, I'll put it that way. So
yeah, I understand what you mean.
And then the next one is my Marvel books. It's a little bit of a blurry picture, but I had several stacks. And so I decided to switch out my Marvel and DC shelves because I just have more DC books right now. So I put the DC books on the Marvel shelf because it's bigger. So this is what my DC collection looks like right now.
Okay, wait, let's drink that in.
So I have my Hellbat figure, I have my Jock black and white statue, and I have my Dark Knight Returns Armored Batman. Tyler and Jess is slowly beginning the end of figures, but I'm being very selective. And so the next two figures I want to get are the Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman by McFarlane and the Grim Knight by McFarlane as well.
I want Thomas Wayne too, but I don't need the Grim Knight.
And then behind the Armored Batman is a lunchbox that my sister and her husband got me as a joke, but I thought it was really funny and it was really cool. So I put it up there. And I have the Dark Knight Rises trilogy box set Blu-ray behind Hellbat, and I have some other framed Batman pictures that my wife bought me as a birthday present several years ago. So as you can see, I arrange it by absolutes, then omnis, and then oversized hardcovers. Then I do standard size hardcovers and then trade paperbacks. sometimes you have to switch things up because some series I have in hardcover and paperback. But I think this looks a lot more streamlined. I don't do chronologically. I just do based on format. And I try to arrange it based on creators as well if I can.
Okay, so you do yours on format. So it's OHCs and Omnis on top,
Right.
And then paperbacks on the second and bottom shelf.
Right, but there are some series that I have a mixture of paperbacks and standard size hardcovers, like Batman and Robin. So there are some situations where they are out of order to some degree.
Okay.
So it sounds like you're judging my collection, Jess, in your voice. What's wrong?
You know where everything is, so I think that's perfect.
Okay.
I just can't see anything. Can you zoom in at all?
Oh, I don't know how to zoom in with my wife's Mac, my wife's iMac. I don't have like a
try and double click the picture, see what happens.
It goes to the next one.
If you double click the picture,
yeah, it goes to the next one.
You're doing PowerPoint, and I don't know anything about.
Yeah, I'm doing PowerPoint. So sorry, Jess. I thought you were judging my collection for a second.
No, I can't see what you've got. I can see what the top books are because I recognize the hardcovers and stuff, but I can't make out what this is your DC shelf?
This is my DC shelf. Yeah.
Hooniverse says Command Plus.
Okay, I'll try that. All right, it's not working.
How about Control Plus?
Sorry, guys. I have to do it on my wife's iMac so I can have the Ethernet cable set up. Otherwise, my internet connection doesn't work as well with the shows. So sorry, I'm not being professional, guys.
This is a Mac with a PowerPoint presentation on it. If anybody can help him zoom in. And F5, no, Mr. Awesome. I don't think he has an F5 button.
I do. I do have an F5 button.
I know.
So sorry, guys. I mean, I don't know what else to do here. Sorry. If I had my normal laptop, I'd be able to zoom in.
That's fine. Tell us what some of the books are.
So I have I have the Black Mirror. I have Kingdom Come. I have the World's Greatest Superheroes, New Frontier Omnis. I have the Authority Omnibus, Aquaman. I have all those Rebirth books, which you can tell that I get very annoyed by the standout spines of Batman and Green Arrow, which stand out like a sore thumb.
Oh, the two black spines.
It even annoys my wife too. So, and then I have a bunch of other hardcovers. Like I have Mr. Miracle down there. I have Superman for All Seasons, Superman Secret Identity, Superman Birthright, things like that. And then it goes into the awkward, oversized hardcover of Dark Knight's Metal and then the rest of the mixed formats.
Yeah.
So that really annoys me, but it is what it is. Then I have a bunch of other I have a lot of Batman stuff in this middle section right here. On
the second shelf, what's at the very right hand, all the black spines?
Those are New 52 Batman books.
Okay.
So that's what those all are. The bottom shelf, I try to do by alphabetical order, but it didn't always work, but it is what it is. And the very bottom shelf on the right, I have a lot of Wildstorm books. I have Planetary, I have Sleeper, I have The Authority by Ed Brubaker, and The Wildstorm by Warren Ellis. So that's how I end that shelf.
Okay, try this. Shift Command Plus.
Sorry.
Why does it always bring in the thumbnails?
I don't know why.
Shift Command Plus. The reason in Man 40 you can't zoom in on a Mac is because Taylor doesn't have a mouse.
I have a mouse. Usually I have my laptop, but I have to use my wife's iMac because that has the Ethernet port because my Wi-Fi doesn't work as well with live shows. So sorry about that, guys. I'll just go quickly through my slides because you can't see it as well. Sorry about that. This is my Marvel shelf. I'm pretty much filled to capacity right here. I have my Omnis to start out with. I have Alias. I don't have all the Ed Brubaker Omnis because they were sold out by the time I got to them. So I have the final two Omnis, and I have it collected towards the bottom and trade paperback for the rest of it. But I think that's going to be coming back soon with reprints, right, Jess? I think the first one's coming back soon. I have Superior Foes of Spider-Man, Punisher Max, Uncanny Avengers by Rick Remender, Wolverine by Mark Millar. I have Wolverine and the X-Men by Jason Aaron. That's a pretty out of print and rare book at this point, isn't it? Wolverine and the X-Men.
There is all Jason Aaron stuff. I think, with the exception of one book, Wolverine-wise, is out of print.
And then we have I have a bunch of I have all the Avengers stuff by Jonathan Hickman. I have Daredevil by Mark Waid, Superior Spider-Man. I am having a hard time collecting all the Dan Slott stuff because some of them it's kind of hard to find, especially like the worldwide hardcovers, a little bit harder to find.
Oh.
So I have a bunch of these different white spined Marvel OHCs, which I love. And then I have Marvels, which is one of my favorite books, right on the fourth shelf, which is in the midsection right there. I have Fury, Vision, House of X. I have my growing Star Wars shelf. And I know Jess and I are hoping to do a Star Wars spotlight episode next month at some point. And hopefully T-Lar Blunt will be there with us as well. That's some other trades to wrap it out. I have a bunch of those skinny Marvel trades at the bottom, which I don't like. I don't really like the way that they look, but it is what it is.
You don't like the skinny Marvels?
They're fun to they're easy to read, but I don't love the way they look on a shelf, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
That's just my personal. I really like hardcovers or really thick trades.
Yeah,
I think those look best on the shelf. And this, hopefully, you can see this one a little bit better. It's a little bit closer up. This is my Vertigo and Image shelf. And so I have Sheriff of Babylon, I have Scalp, Sweet Tooth, Why the Last Man, The Losers, which Jess and I reviewed recently. That's a very underrated Vertigo series that everyone needs to read.
Yeah.
I have 100 Bullets. I have DMZ. I just finished the first volume of DMZ, and I love this series. Too bad Brian Wood is, I don't know what word to use, but we can't talk about him. We can't really review books on the show, but I can. Yeah. I think I can say that I really enjoy this series. I think you enjoy this series as well.
I did.
American Carnage, which I think Jess and I both, that was one of our first Crime Corner reviews. I think it might have been the first one. I have American Vampire in Trade. I have Ex Machina. I need to finish out Sandman. I don't have all the books.
Where are we right now?
I'm in the third cube, so the second one down.
Second one down? Okay.
Yeah. And so we have Joe the Barbarian. See all those Vertigo crime and print books?
Yeah. Yes.
They're in the third cube. So, yeah, we're going to be reviewing that in the foreseeable future as well. And next to it, I need to finish out Invincible. I think that TV show coming out is motivating me to finish that series and to get the rest of the hardcovers. I don't think I have to worry too much about it, because that seems to be a series that's always going to be in print to some degree. Would you agree?
It seems like it's been evergreen forever. I'm finishing book 2 tonight, and then I want to keep going because I enjoy it. That's the one Kirkman book I enjoy.
So I do want to get the rest of those books. I do want to read them before the TV show comes out. And I have AD After Death by Lemire, but I haven't read that yet. Have you read it, Jess?
No.
That's a Lemire and Scott Snyder book I haven't read. And then I have East of West, and I'm really looking forward to that third hardcover coming out. And I think it's actually this upcoming week. That and Paper Girls. Those are books I'm going to jump on immediately. The book next to it's hard to see, Green Valley by Max Landis. Max Landis is also a controversial figure because of his sexual abuse claims, but that was a really fantastic book.
Oh, I have that book and I really want to read it.
It's really good. It's not as good as American Alien, but it's still a solid read.
Okay.
And then next to that is Descender, which is my favorite Jeff Lemire series. I love that book. And I think, Jess, you had the trades, but you upgraded the hardcovers, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay. And then I have a lot of my Ed Brubaker stuff. This is pretty much my favorite part of my collection is the Ed Brubaker stuff. And I do need to sell the Criminal stuff before the new ones come out, because I will be buying the new ones because it looks so nice.
Yeah.
And there's Incognito, which Jess and I both agree is a fantastic book, even though a lot of people don't seem to enjoy it compared to the rest of his work. I really like Incognito.
Is that a well-known dislike? I mean,
I wouldn't say people hate it, but on the group, it definitely seems like it's his least liked independent work.
Huh. Okay.
Compared to like Criminal or Velvet or Kill or Be Killed or Fatale, it just seems like it's not as popular with a lot of people. And then the next shelf down to the left is Injection, which I might get rid of that because I don't think we're going to get a second one with all the Warren Ellis stuff going on recently.
And that was such a good story. That drives me crazy that it won't get finished.
Would you agree it's probably not going to get finished?
Yeah, it probably won't get finished, and it makes me mad. I think it's fantastic.
And then next to it is a fantastic series. I hope they continue with the hardcovers. I'm sure they will. Is Black Magic by Greg Rucka and Lazarus by Greg Rucka. And I think, is it only volume 2 of Lazarus that's hard to find?
I know 2 is hard to find, but I feel like somebody was telling me 1 is hard to find too.
Jess and I saw someone selling Lazarus the other day on the Facebook group, and we're like, I can't imagine selling that series.
No.
Monstrous, which I haven't read yet. I need to read that.
Oh my God, I love that book.
Revival, which I thought the ending was not the best, but I still enjoyed the series overall.
Let me take 1 second to say, Dude Key, my Descender collection is for sale if you want it for a good price. Since I upgraded, I haven't sold them yet. Write me at omnidogsvault2@gmail.com, and I will give you a good price on the whole set.
And then I have Saga, which is fantastic, and there's a huge cliffhanger ending on volume 3, and they still haven't had the return to single issues yet. So we'll probably finish out that series whenever I'm like 60 years old. That's taken a long time.
I'll be dead.
I'll try to communicate with you in the afterlife, tell you how it ends, Jess.
Through a Ouija board.
And next is Paper Girls, which is one of the only comic book series that my wife's actually read, and she really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's good.
And so the third one of that's coming out this week as well. I need to pick that up. And next to that is Chew. I need to pick up the rest of those hardcovers. That would be a good crime corner, I would think, Jess, is reviewing Chew.
Okay, yeah, Chew would be great.
I need to motivate myself to pick up some of these Image hardcovers. I need to finish out Chew and Invincible. And then I might hold on, even though the third hardcover of Criminal is going to have My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies and Bad Weekend in it. I think I'm still going to keep those because I like how they look next to Pulp. And it'd be nice to be able to pull it off the shelf real quick and read them. So that's going to be a double dip for me, I think.
If anybody wants My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies and Bad Weekend, I'm selling those too.
And I have
Pulp2@gmail.com.
And then I have a bunch of Image trades there as well, which we don't have to go through all of those. And then my last shelf is my other indie stuff that's not Vertigo or that's not Image. I have that Parker Martini edition, which I love, but it frustrates me I can't fit it on a Kallax. So I have to awkwardly put it on top. My plan is to eventually get 2 bookends and put more books on top of this Kallax.
Is it taller than Lady Killer?
Oh yeah. It's tall. It's taller than Absolutes. It's taller than library editions.
Where the heck is mine? Oh, it's over. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Well, you have to remember, you have like Billy's and other shelves. You have a wide variety. I only have Kallax.
Yeah.
It's the only book that I own that doesn't fit on a Kallax. So whenever the second one comes out, I'm going to try to get some bookends. And I'm also going to put more stuff on there because as you can already tell, I'm running out of room with my Image stuff, with my indie shelves. I'm pretty much filled to capacity. So I'm going to have to put more books on top. I have Black Hammer. I'm so glad I got those because that was hard to get. Initially off IST Volume 2 and The World of Black Hammer. Even though I do think Black Hammer Volume 2 is back on IST, if I remember correctly. Harrow County is fantastic. Lady Killer is fantastic, and you all need to pick that up.
Yep.
And there's Black Sad, BPRD Hell on Earth, and Plague of Frogs. And I haven't upgraded with Hellboy yet. I love Hellboy, but those trade paperbacks have some sentimental value for me because I've had them since I was like 12 years old. So at least a decent amount of them. Maybe one day I'll skip the library edition because I know everyone loves them, but I'm happy with those for right now. And I actually might get rid of my Umbrella Academy trade because I don't really love that book or the TV series that much. So that might be something that I curate and cut from my collection.
Here's some more bad production. You keep talking, and I got to go get my charger for my Mac.
That's fine. I'll keep talking. And next to that is a series in hardcover that Jess has lost, and he can't find it. He has the soft covers, but it's Stumptown by Greg Rucka, which is a series we've also reviewed on Crime Corner. If you want to go back and watch that review. Next to that is my TKO books that I have. I have more than those ones right now because TKO sent Jess and I their newest wave of books to review. We'll be putting that review out in the foreseeable future for Red Fork, for Lonesome Days, Savage Nights, and The Pool by Steve Orlando. So be on the lookout for that review sometime soon. I have Britannia, which is a really fun series that Jess actually super baited me on. So I'm really glad I read that. That was a fantastic crime supernatural horror series set back in the ancient Roman time. That was really great. I have a couple Aftershocks trades, and I have my James Bond collection of Dynamite comics. I love these James Bond books. I haven't read them all, but I do want to collect them all because I've liked all the ones that I've read so far. I still have a couple more books to pick out, but I'm really loving these James Bond books so far. I have The Cape by Joe Hill, which is really good. And one of my favorite books of the year next to Cape is 8 Million Ways to Die. I love that book. Jess and I both really enjoyed that. And then there's The Dregs and there's 303 by Garth Ennis. And so that is the end of my slideshow.
I also love the James Bond books.
I've enjoyed all the ones I've read so far. I've read the Andy Diggle ones. I've read the Warren Ellis stuff, and I'm excited to read the rest of them. They've all been good so far. Yeah. And I've heard nothing but good things about all of them. I still need to pick up the Greg Pak series. I think that just wrapped up with volume 2. Alice Cott or something, I think his name is, has The Body. I still need to pick up. And there's one other one that I can't remember.
That was actually, I didn't take a picture of that, but I had a stack of James Bond books that I had no place for, and by getting rid of other books, I was able to find a place for them. Stumptown is still missing even after curating his collection. Is that me, or that Stumptown review is a great show? Thank you. Did you show your Stumptown?
Yeah, I whenever you were going to get your charger, I showed off my Stumptown hardcovers.
Yeah, I still have my paperbacks. I don't know where my hardcovers are. Oh, here, I like Alex DeCampi. Here's a good one.
And Her Smoke, Bad Girls, and Mayday. I've never heard of any of these.
I like Alex DeCampi.
What else has he written?
I think it's a she. She's the one that wrote Dracula Motherfucker.
Oh, I rolled the dice by saying he. I was like, it could go either way.
My only complaint about Dracula was that I wanted more of it. I wanted a bigger, longer book.
And now Jess is making me reconsider my DC shelf.
In what way?
It seemed like were you just confused because you couldn't see the books? Or were you saying, oh, I thought you were like, why are they arranged like that? I couldn't tell.
Oh no.
Okay.
I couldn't see anything.
Right.
I wanted to closer up so I could tell what some of the books were.
I thought about taking it cube by cube. I just thought that would take a while for my whole entire collection. That's like how many? That's like 30 pictures. So, but looking back on it, I probably should have.
No, that's all right.
But yeah, so in terms of my collection, in terms of curating, as you can see, I don't have the biggest collection, but these are all books that I really enjoy, and I'm slowly accumulating. There's only a couple books I'm thinking about selling. There's maybe a handful. That's not too bad, though. I can think of maybe like 4 or 5 books I'm thinking about selling. So I try to be very selective, and that's part of me being a cheapskate, which Jess knows about me. Mm-hmm. Both ETL and I, as Jess says it, we throw around nickels at their manhole covers. And I love saying that joke because ETL always gets frustrated by it because he has no idea what it means. And so I'm never going to explain it to him. I'm just going to keep saying it and keep frustrating him. And so I always just am really careful about what I buy. I'm trying to be more careful about using Hoopla and reading digitally first and not buying and shelling out money right away. Obviously, this whole year has brought me unique challenges with having to jump on books quicker. And this has probably been the most stressful time for me as a collector. Usually collecting has been really a laid-back activity. It really hasn't been lately. And so I'm really hoping we can get past this, not just for comics, but for everything. But it's been kind of stressful to buy comics lately, personally. And I did not lead Omni Dog down the awesome path of Hot Toys. Sorry about that. That's not me. That's too rich for my blood. That's I don't know how did you get into Hot Toys again? What was the impetus?
I saw it.
I saw it and I wanted it.
Thought it was cool.
Yeah, so it wasn't me.
No, I did it to myself.
And Lloyd Wong wants me to read High Crimes, which I know you really like.
I love both these books. Both those books.
Get those.
Yeah, they are.
Was High Crimes? Was High Crimes the one that Faria gave like a negative 100 million out of 10? It sounds like one of those. I think it was one of those books where you guys totally disagreed on it.
I don't actually remember. I was really impressed with High Crimes. That's where they have the murder investigation that takes place at the bottom of Mount Everest, and she ends up going. The private investigator ends up going Mount Everest to find the killer, and she's not a private investigator. She there's so many people die on Mount Everest that she has to clip an identifiable piece of their body off so they can be identified, because you can't bring those bodies down the mountain. So that's her job, and then it spins into a murder investigation all up and down Mount Everest. I loved that book. It was a thriller. I thought it was great. And Ghost Money, Death in Dubai was also a thriller, and really well written with really nice art. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, they both sound really good. I do need to pick them up.
I don't know about Ghost Money. I'll have to look at Ghost Money again, but I'm almost positive you'd like High Crimes.
Okay.
Ghost Money was really, really good, but I think High Crimes is the book that is for you.
I just have so many books right now I still want to pick up. It's just
Oh,
sometimes it can. I think you told me this the other day. You're at the point in your collecting life where you have all the whales and whalettes that you really want, and you're pretty much happy with all the things that are currently out, right? Would that be correct?
Yes.
There's still a lot of things that I still want to get that are out right now, but there's still new stuff that's coming out every single week. And so it's hard to really catch up. Like, I would love to finish out Invincible and Chew, but like I also need to prioritize new books that are coming out because they sell out so quickly. So it's really hard right now to kind of go back in the backlog and get older stuff and fill in gaps when you're trying to keep up with the new stuff. But that's just part of being in this game, I guess.
Yeah, they pump out a lot of stuff, even though DC seems to be in multiple points of disarray. They still put out paperbacks and trades and stuff regularly for us to read, and of course Marvel's always putting stuff up, and then the independents are putting stuff up. Let's see. Streakazoid, have you read Green Wake? I did back in singles. I really liked it. Although Taylor, was it you that isn't a fan of Riley Rossmo?
I'm not going to buy a book if Riley Rossmo does the art. I'm just not a fan. Like, I know we read Martian Manhunter by him and Steve Orlando, which I thought was okay. And the art I don't know what it is about it. I just don't dig it at all. I wouldn't go as far as say he's a bad artist. It just isn't to my taste.
Yeah, I liked Green Wake, and I liked Blue State too, back when I was reading singles.
And IQ's waiting for us to do a Batman Dark Prince Charming review.
I have those books. I should read those.
I don't have them, but I've heard the art is fantastic. I've heard the story is just okay. That's just what I've heard, though.
I don't know anything about it. I really don't, except that when it came out, I bought it.
I'm trying to think of what other books I need to fill in some gaps with.
Invincible is so long, and there's so many OHCs that I just went with the compendiums. Not the best format, but I was able to easily read and enjoy the full story for a reasonable price, and that is important. Easy read, enjoy the story, reasonable price.
Yeah, I still have to pick up like 8 more hardcovers for Invincible.
Right.
That's a lot of books.
Yeah.
It's with big series, it's really hard to get into them all at once. You kind of have to piecemeal them. And that's why it's easiest to jump on a series whenever it's first coming out. It's just to slowly keep up with the series. Otherwise, it can just be overwhelming. Like, I've used this illustration many times. The whole Hellblazer run. I can't jump into a 25 trade series. That's just too much for me. I know that means a lot to you personally, Jess, and you've been keeping up with it. As someone who hasn't kept up with it, that just totally overwhelms me. And that's why I can.
Yeah.
And in addition to many reasons, that's why I can never get into manga. I can't get into a 90-book series. I just can't do that. Like I don't have. I know they're cheaper, but still, 90 books at like $5 a pop, $10 a pop. That adds up. I can't do it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for you about Hellblazer, but I completely understand. But that was easy for me because I picked it up issue 1 off the comic rack and just never stopped. And so it's easy for me, and I'm frustrated for you that it seems overwhelming because some of the stories, most of the stories, I think, are so interesting and gripping and just really sort of stretch sort of the way I think of comic books being written.
Yeah, I would like to read them. I hope to someday.
Oh, Dude Key, that's a good question. I'll tell you what, I'll read that this week and Stargirl, and I'll review just those 2 books. Somebody else had been wanting Stargirl. I'll do a quick review of both those books. Dude Key.
Yeah, because I think you're trying to do more of those what I reviewed this week that aren't books you read for a certain show with Kristen or I or Tyler.
Yeah, I'll do that. That's a good book I want to read.
Part of me kind of just wants to get the Garth Ennis Hellblazer stuff, but I know you're a big fan of the Jamie Delano stuff still. I know a lot of people don't like it, but
I am the only person that's a fan.
Like, could I just read the Garth Ennis stuff and be okay? Like,
I think so,
it?
yeah.
But yeah. I know there's the Omni, but there's also the trades, but I think the first Garth Ennis trade still has some Jamie Delano stuff in it. Right?
Yeah, I think you'd be, basically who Constantine is.
Yeah.
What he's about, what his smoking habits about, what is the way he treats people, the whole magic thing. Enough about him that I think you would really enjoy the Garth Ennis book.
Maybe I should just get the Garth Ennis stuff first, and if I want to go from there, I could start filling in the rest.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way to go about it. Because I really do like Steve Dillon's art too, and he did some of the art for the Garth Ennis run, right? I don't think he did all of it, but he did a decent chunk of it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think he did a decent. He did a big chunk of it. Yeah, it starts. Ennis writes from 5 to 8.
Okay.
So I mean that's
4 trades
right there.
It's just an intimidating thing.
I totally get it.
A 300 issue run, yeah. But I really like Hellblazer in the ways that I've seen him, and I really do want to pick up the DC Black Label Tom Taylor book, and I really do need to pick up the Cy Spurrier series because I know you love that so much.
That is good. I really like that. Yeah. And Michael Emmond is exactly right.
Yeah, you said you like every single Hellblazer book from that original run.
I do, because of this exact thing. Every writer has a different approach. Everything feels different and fresh. That's what I liked about it. It was still John Constantine, but he was in a different situation, and sometimes he spoke a little differently. I don't know. I just love that. That and Sandman to me are 2 sentimental books, because it's when I really, really, really got back into comics. Hellblazer and Sandman were 2 of the ones that I first got into. So, and I never stopped with Hellblazer, and the only book modern that I did that with is Fables.
And M-Man40 did a big favor for you, so I want to make sure his comment can be seen. He's sending you pictures of his collection now, and he wants to know if you got them.
Just going to send you my collection. Oh, did you send them to that address? I don't know. Let's check.
Is he sending them to you for shelfies on Omnibros?
That'd be fine with me.
I said no, if that was why he was sending them.
Let's see if I have email.
And Lloyd Wong's asking if you spend most of your time reading now, Jess.
And Michael Emmond, I am not selling my Captain Britain omnibus. N-Man 40, yes, I got your I got your email. Michael M. and Dira of crack up. Yeah, I got it. So do you spend most of your time reading now, Jesse? Yeah, Lloyd, that's actually true. I hardly video game. I hardly watch television. And on the internet, all I do is go on the Omnibus group and look for recommendations of what to read. Yeah, I really just read constantly, and well, I love it, of course. That's why I made a channel, to try and get people to, if I could distill down all the reading I did and just make suggestions as to really good stuff, maybe people would like it. So I read the crappy books so you don't have to.
And now that your wife's retired, you spend a lot of time hanging out with your wife, which you enjoy. So that's also another great activity.
And she, now that she's retired, she's more tolerant of my spending more time doing comic book stuff, because she's doing her own projects now. She has all kinds of art projects that she's doing.
And once you've been married for 30 years, I mean, all the conversations you can have are pretty much been had. So, you know.
Yeah, we really haven't spoken for the past 5 years. You're right.
And you spend a lot of time being a Facebook admin too. That takes up a lot of time.
Yeah, I haven't been doing that as much, but yeah, it does take up time. Let's see, Justin Taylor, have you guys heard? I don't think I've heard of this. Oh, well, this is true. Completely agree with everything that's been said. I've been buying 2 minis per month and had to move, and it sucked. I'm selling what I'm not reading. John Air Windows, Justin Taylor, have you guys heard of the Streets of Paris, Streets of Murder box set?
I have not. It sounds like a Jess Bragg book.
Sure does.
Looking on Amazon right now.
Streets of, does it have a, oh.
Streets of Paris, Streets of Murder.
Alexa, tap it, enable your phone's microphone. Okay, continue. Okay.
I already found it. But I don't know why you use her. She stinks.
I was using Alexa. Wait a sec. Alexa. Alexa.
Oh my gosh.
Find Streets of Paris, Streets of Murder box set.
It's $60 on Amazon.
Jeez, come on.
This
Alexa, find Streets of Murder, Streets of Paris box set.
It's by Fantagraphics.
Showing items matching Streets of Murder, Streets of Paris box set.
Oh, she has a very pleasant voice. Okay, so
it presents all 4 hard-boiled graphic novels of this series.
Who suggested that? John? Sell us on it. Sell us on it. Oh, it's by Tardy? Okay.
I'm not seeing a summary exactly of what the story is, but
yeah, on phones you don't really get that.
It's calling it a dark noir, so that sounds good to me.
Complete collection of the graphic novel collaborations of acclaimed crime novelist Jean-Patrick Mesh.
Okay, I found a summary.
Go for it.
The titular character is a legal advisor, not a private eye, but even he knows that when a sultry blonde appears in his office after hours, he shouldn't trust her, and she doesn't disappoint. Griffu is soon ensnared in a deadly web of sexual betrayal, real estate fraud, and murder. That's the first graphic novel.
All right, well, I want that.
This sounds like a book we have to look into.
Alexa, play punk rock.
Oh, gosh.
No, now I'm doing it to the. Now I'm doing it to all the app, the people with Jimmy Eat World is not punk. Excuse me.
I think Jess just talks to his phone to annoy me. I think that's why he does it.
Yeah, sorry, I do. It's funny.
Well,
I have read this book, Mr. Awesome. It is good. Dr. 13. I know exactly where it is. It's a good book. I like Dr. 13. It was sort of under the radar, thin paperback a while ago. It is a good book. I like it.
Well, Jess, you ready to wrap it up?
Yep. I think so. Thank you to everybody. We had a record number of viewers tonight. Thank you very much. A lot of good people in the chat having a lot of good ideas and a lot of good back and forth. And I hope we helped you with some ideas on curating your collection, or that one of our tangents was interesting to listen to.
I hope not many of you are too drunk after the shrink wrap game. We can't be held legally responsible for what happens.
Yeah, that actually would be a good drinking game. Except I'm not gonna. I mean, obviously I can't play it, but other people can.
Mr. Awesome says over 2 hours. Congrats. That seems to be the trend with Jess and I. It's not a matter of us getting to 2 hours. It's us stopping at a certain point, because we could probably keep going for another hour or two if we wanted to. But
yeah,
you got to end it at some point.
Alexa, play the Sex Pistols.
That's the perfect cue to end on.
Yes, thank you very much for everybody for tuning in. We love you all. You all guys are all great. And I really, really appreciate you tuning in. This really means a lot to both of us that you guys would spend your Friday night with us. My Alexa out in the other room is playing the Sex Pistols. Awesome.
Jesse Saywat wants a 5-hour chat one day. 5-hour live stream.
Thank you. This has been great. Peace and love. Peace and love.
See you guys.